It is so alarming. The American people have to see this. It has to be public. For the sake of the country.
The disclosure of this intelligence document must be a top priority for the country immediately. I cannot stress how important that is.
Is this happening in America, or is this the KGB? That's how alarming it is.
Top GOP lawmakers expressing outrage about a 4-page memo that's been circulating in Congress allegedly revealing the U.S. government's abuse of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, during the last election campaign and immediately after. Here now, someone who has actually read the memo, Ohio Congressman and member of the House Intel Committee, Brad Wenstrup. Congressman, I'm used to hearing hype from inside the Beltway, but this seems over the top. You've read the memo. Is it over the top, that kind of hype?
Well, I know that our fellow members have significant concerns, as I do as a member of the Intelligence Committee, understanding that we have the professional obligation of having oversight over our government. And we are the portion of the government that is of the people and by the people and for the people. And so there's a process that takes place, and we've been conducting investigations. And there's some information that we on Intelligence Committee felt should be shared with our colleagues, the other duly elected representatives here in Congress.
Well, what about us? I mean, we're not elected representatives, but we have a right. If something is akin to what the KGB was doing, as one of the congressmen we just heard said, don't we have the right to see it?
Yes. I think that you do. You know, I was a young man during Watergate, and what I remember coming away with during that time as a teenager is that we were a country that if there was wrongdoing, everyone wanted to know the truth and make sure that it was righted in the best way that we can.
Well, what can you tell us, Congressman, specifically about what was in it or who wrote it?
Well, I can't talk to you about that, to be honest with you. I hope we can get to a point where someday I can, and that's the next step in the process for those of us in the Intelligence Committee.
I just want to push you as far as I can, because, again, you agree that with me that we have the right to know what was in the memo, but at least can you tell us whether or not it dealt with the last election and whether or not efforts were made by the federal government to abuse power in that last election?
I won't talk about what's in it at this point, and I'm sorry to disappoint you in that, but I will tell you that the concerns of my other colleagues are very sincere. And as members of Congress, we are to have oversight, and we should have oversight on behalf of the American people. The only thing I'd want to make sure of is, before we go forward in deciding what can be released to the American people, is that we have a conversation professionally the way that we're supposed to, and make sure that nothing in there threatens our national security in any way, shape, or form.
Quickly, because we are really wondering whether or not we should be as concerned as some members of Congress. Let me just finally read what Congressman Steve King. He's a pretty sober guy, but here's what he tweeted out today. I've read the memo. The sickening reality has set in. I no longer hold out hope that there is an innocent explanation for the information the public has seen. I have long said it is worse than Watergate. Is he going over the top, or do you agree with Steve King?
Mr. King is on the committee with me, and I think I share the same sentiments. In some ways, I think that we are, I'll use Abraham Lincoln's line, we're testing whether this nation or any nation so conceived can long endure. If we don't correct our wrongs, if we the people don't have oversight, and the people don't get to have oversight with us as members of Congress, then that's a problem. So keep plugging away. I think that transparency, how are we ever going to develop trust if we can't be frank with the American people? So I hope that that's where we end up at the end of the day, but I want to do it right, and I want to do it openly and honestly.
Well, if it's that important, we all need to see it as quickly as possibly, too. Congressman, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.